Welcome to Happy Talks with Dr. Alice and Donovan. Dr. Alice Fong is a holistic naturopathic doctor and founder of Amor de Soi Wellness. And Donovan Jensen is a software engineer and founder of HowToHappy.com. Together, they're out to cause more happiness in the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Happy Talks. My name is Dr. Alice, and this is my awesome co-host, Donovan. And today I have a very special guest. Sabrina Osso is a speaker and consultant on promoting safety and preventing violence in the workplace, schools, and in places of residence. Such an important topic. So I'm very happy to have this incredible guest here. Please welcome Sabrina. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, tell us a little about your story and what compelled you to get into promoting safety and preventing violence.
I have had a number of years of therapy to be comfortable enough to say that I am a former victim of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis.
Wow.
It was pretty traumatic, very stressful to say the least. And so I know what it's like to live in that type of environment. Unfortunately, too many of us know what it's like to live in that type of environment. And I did what I was supposed to do. I went to university. I got my computer science degree. I did have many computer jobs, but my heart was in dance. And my therapist said, Sabrina, you need to dance. You need to really go for it, and really, that's your heart. So I started dancing. I was totally submerged and immersed in the dance world. In New York City, I shuffled between 3 dance studios, Alvin Ailey, Steps, and Broadway Dance Center. And I was getting gigs. I auditioned a lot. I was taking 12 classes a week.
Wow.
It was very exciting. And then I developed my one-woman show called Home Sweet Home. I just started writing. I started just creating these characters, and I play different women being abused. She goes to a good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. But it ends very strong, very empowering. And I did a lot of research for the show. And I could not believe, Dr. Alice and Donovan, the statistics that I was finding. Because I wanted the show to be educational and entertaining. And I said to myself, I have to make this into a business, into a bona fide business with paid products and services. And that's how Osso Safe was born, really. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible story, and it's great that you were able to turn such a horrible situation into a good positive light for the world and to make an impact. Because I think I would, I don't know the statistics, so I'm going to ask you what those statistics are, but just I know like it's something that is not really addressed, or it's like kind of shoved under the rug kind of a thing. It's not really talked about. So I think it's a really important conversation to have. So I'm curious, like what are those statistics?
Yes. 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in a lifetime. 1 out of 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. 1 out of 7 men is abused. By the end of today, 4 women will be killed by their abusive partners, and most of them will be killed after they leave their abusers. So them leaving is not the answer. In fact, when a victim decides to leave, she is 75% more likely to be killed. And I would say that could be the same for men, but it's a lot of the victims are female, but whether it's male or female, it's horrible either way. Another alarming statistic is 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US. Wow. And all of those statistics that I just said, those are just the ones that are documented. So it's even worse than what we think with the statistics. There's another statistic about 324,000 pregnant women go into the emergency room, not for pregnant related issues, but for abuse related injuries. So I could go on and on with statistics, but those are the most, I like to say those because it really gives a wake-up call to people like, wow, this is serious. It's prevalent.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really just jaw-dropping. The numbers are just astoundingly bad. I kind of want to, I think we'll probably get through this through the course of the conversation, but I kind of want to talk about both sides of the equation, which is kind of your take on how in the world people end up in the position where they're doing these kinds of things, and in the other position, if someone is in this kind of position, what are some of the options? And maybe that's the better starting point. I'd be curious kind of what you think people should look out for, or what they can do, or what are some of the options and steps if people find themselves in these kinds of situations?
Yes, if you are a victim, I could tell you there are so many people that really deny it. They downplay it. They are scared to come out. In fact, in our seminars and workshops and speaking engagements, we go over 50 reasons why victims don't leave their abusive partners. Everything from money is the number one. And then all the way to, I mean, it goes from money, children, religion, you're isolated, you are an immigrant, you can't speak English, you are disabled, you have tried to leave before, the abuser found you before. So there's so many reasons why victims don't leave. And I will say, just in the immediate, as an immediate solution, document your abuse. Know that you're not alone. It's not your fault. We will see to it that things get better. My company, Osso Safe, and to know that there has to be one person in your life that you can disclose what's going on. There's got to be one person. And if there isn't, find that person. And I know it's scary. Believe me, I know it's scary. And if they lash out at you, if they blame you, then try someone else. And I know it's scary. Documenting the abuse, you have to know the warning signs, and there are always warning signs. If your partner, someone that you're dating, somebody that you're married to, somebody that thought was good for me, but all of a sudden they're telling me how to dress, they're isolating me from family and friends, they are controlling my money, and I just met them, I have to go into work with dark glasses and cover myself with long sleeves because I got punched. I got a baseball bat hit on me. I got scratches. All of these are warning signs that you are not in a good relationship. And it's really important to teach children, to teach boys that in order to become a man, you do not dominate women and girls when you begin to date, when you begin to formulate friendships. This is very important. And then girls, to teach them not to be submissive or to nobody should beat the crap out of anybody. There should be no name calling. There should be no verbal disparagement. There should be no sex abuse. Nobody should be raping anybody. Nobody should be sexually assaulting anyone. It needs to be said over and over again until it becomes part of one's DNA. And I would say that we all deserve to be in a good relationship. And I think, especially if you come from abuse, violence, it's so easy to fall into the trap of making excuses for someone who could be an abuser, and you're headed down the wrong road. You have to say to yourself, I deserve to be in a good relationship. I deserve to be treated well, and I have to treat my significant other well. that's on the victim side, that there are always warning signs. You should document your abuse, to talk to someone. Therapy is very important. We are big proponents of therapy, and I could talk about that more later on in the interview. But we are introducing into the market something in the real estate market, like an actual product and a service that I could talk about more. But to answer your question, on the abuser side, abusers are made. No one is born an abuser. And they learn it from when they're children, and where they see dad beating up mom, or mom beating up dad, or they got attacked, and then they perpetuate that abuse. There's no excuse for it. And you have to keep on the forefront of your mind, just because you grew up with it, you have to break the cycle. It's no excuse that you grew up with it. What good is it that, oh, well, I saw my dad beat up my mother all the time, so this is why I beat up my girlfriend? That's not an excuse. Nobody should have to live with abuse. It is not a normal way to live. Not yesterday, not today, and not tomorrow. And abusers, they have to, and this is what we're doing with the real estate industry. There has to be bona fide consequences. And I feel like there aren't enough, and they're not strong enough. And I think my company and we're changing that. And I could explain more about that. So I hope I answered both questions. Abuser, if you're an abuser, if you're a victim, you need to be in therapy. You have to get help. There's no shame in getting help. There's shame in not getting help. So I hope I answered the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And excellent job cycling back to both of them without any follow-up. But yeah, no, I wanted to hear kind of about both sides, because, it's terrible on the one side, for sure. Absolutely. As a victim, like, it's horrible. But, there is this other person playing a role. And I think it makes sense what you said, that it's kind of something that people grow up with or learn. And now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't thought about this before, so I could be completely off. But, you learn this type of behavior as a way to solve some sort of problem. Now, it doesn't mean it's a good way to solve a problem. It's an absolutely horrible way to solve a problem. But it seems like that's something that a pattern that people could end up caught in. And the first piece for some of these people is probably to realize that it is not an effective or appropriate in any way solution to some of these problems, right? Like, hey, there's this other person, they're not doing what I want them to do. I'm going to apply violence. Well, that's not a good solution in any way. Now, I don't want to focus on, abusers, because I think that's a topic that needs far less. I would be curious, like you were mentioning, some of the solutions or tools that you and your company are working on to sort of help people and reduce the amount of violence.
Yes. We are introducing into, right now, we want this to propagate over all properties, no matter what your property is. But we are focusing on the landlord-tenant portion of the industry. And we are introducing to the real estate industry Osso Safe certifications for your property. What does that mean? That means that right now we are approaching landlords and tenants, and I'm doing so many interviews about this, speaking engagements. I'm really doing my best to get it out there, podcasts, to say, look, Mr. and Miss Landlord, hire us, Osso Safe. We will get your property Osso Safe certified. You purchase the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. It consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to your building. The policy basically states that I, as a landlord, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my tenant, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises. And we go into full knowledge, knowing that that would be the consequences. The rest of the family can still stay, provided that they could still pay the rent or the mortgage. So This way, you mitigate liability, you maintain property reputation, your vacancy rates will drop, and your tenants will feel safe. So that's the policy. Then there is a seminar. We do this seminar just as a blanket education for everyone in the building, all tenants, new and existing. And we go over facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, just to name a few items. So that way everybody's on the same page, and abusers and victims can't say, oh, I didn't know that pulling hair constitutes abuse. Now you know, because you attended the seminar and it's a part of your residency now. So that's the seminar. Then there is an app that I hired a software company to detect violent-like movements in the building, in each unit. It picks up only violence. It doesn't pick up documents. It doesn't pick up conversations, only violence. So to give an example, let's say a landlord has 10 units. He or she will get an alert. Oh, wow, I just saw in my unit 2 and in my unit 10, you just beat the crap out of her, or you just beat the crap out of your kids. You know that we don't do this in an Osso Safe certified property. You're held to a higher regard, a higher standard. You got to go. I have to keep everyone else in my building safe. So they get evicted. That's the technology portion of it. Then the fourth portion of the package is therapists. This is now a part of your residency. You are required to check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? For violence to occur, where police come, the whole building is in an uproar. What happened in unit 2A? Oh, I don't know. I heard screaming and yelling. I heard the kids screaming and yelling. Things were breaking. You have therapists assigned to the building. Let's say you're a parent. Well, therapist, my kid just came home and said that we're knocked the crap out of him. We know better. How do we handle this? Can you help us through this? So all of these components put together makes your property Osso Safe certified, and it's preventative, and it just makes for a better partner, or get an Osso Safe writer put in insurance policies to encourage landlords to get their properties Osso Safe certified, so that way their insurance rates will go down and their property values will go up, because financially they're taking extra steps to keep their tenants safe beyond the heat, hot water, electricity, central air. They're keeping their tenants safe, meaning violence prevention, non-abuse, non-violence, non-chaos, non-dysfunction. So this is what we're introducing into the real estate industry. But we want this, the vision that we have for Osso Safe is that this carries over into all residency, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have a mortgage or not. Abuse should not be a part of anyone's reality. And I know, because it was my reality for so long, and it needs not to be. So I hope, so this is what we're doing to kind of change the face of residency, really.
It's really, really incredible and inspiring that you're taking on such a valiant effort. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of work, and you're getting the word out there, but I appreciate that you're taking actions to change the outlook of the issue with violence. I'm curious, just to circle back, you had mentioned like some warning signs, because maybe like there are individuals that are quote unquote being abused, but they're not really identifying that within themselves. So what are those warning signs people should look out for in case they're on, like, they're not quite sure if they fall into that category?
If you're dating someone and they are telling you, you know what, why don't you wear a longer skirt, or better yet, wear pants, or how about you just wear shirts that cover you, because it makes me jealous when other people look at you. And this could go also for men, where women say this to men, or if you're heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, I mean, it doesn't matter. that's a warning sign. That's a big warning sign. Already the control is happening. It's being introduced. And they know what they're doing, abusers. They know what they're doing for the most part. When you're dating someone, and or even if you've known someone maybe for a while, and just these signs come up, and they try to make you go against your children, like let's say you're divorced or you have children, and you're dating someone, and the person that you're dating is verbally disparaging your kids. They want to be alone with your children, and you could think, oh, this is great, my boyfriend, my girlfriend wants to be alone with them, they want to hang out with them. We say at Osso Safe, before you even introduce that person to your children, please do a background check on that person to make sure that there is no history of sex abuse in any capacity, because there are too many incidents where it ends up so badly, where the children are victims. And yeah, mommy, your boyfriend came into my room last night and he made me take off my underwear. I mean, that's how it happened. So these are all warning signs, and you have to know that your children, you have to believe your children. Believe your children. Yes, children fib. They do lie about certain things, but I would say for the most part, when it comes to big things, believe your children over somebody that you with a friend. There's 90% of all children that are sexually assaulted, they know the perpetrator, which means it's either a boyfriend, a stepdad, an uncle, an aunt. It's somebody within the family. It's not some stranger. And 60% of those kids will never, ever say anything, but they will internalize it and self-harm. So I hope I gave some more habits that change, sleeping habits that change. So if you were a good sleeper, and then over time, your friend all of a sudden, or not even all of a sudden, like they start to say, I haven't been sleeping. Wow, Sally, you've been losing a lot of weight, or you've been gaining a lot of weight. What's been going on? And it could be that maybe they have a physical ailment, maybe they had a death in the family, maybe they have to take care of a parent all of a sudden. I get it, we get it. However, ask questions frequently, and if they change the subject right away, where they get very sensitive about their home life, that's a warning sign that you got to dig deeper, and keep telling them, look, I'm here for you. I'm not going to judge you. I am here to listen, and it's going to be between you and I. Just keep saying that over and over again to the person. And I would say and I'm not trying to be salesy, but get us into your kids' schools, get us into your workplaces, get us into your places of residence, because all violence pretty much begins in one's home. So if we get home safe, everything else will fall in place. Our schools will be safe, our universities will be safe, our workplaces will be safe, our public places will be safe. It all starts in the home. In whether you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single family home, a multifamily dwelling, a villa, a mansion, it all starts in the home. Like all of these school shooters, their home life, they're either being abused or they're the abuser, like the bully. They're the bully, but chances are they're getting bullied. So it needs to be nipped in the bud right at home, which is why we developed the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. because this will indeed make residencies safe and diminish violence and eventually prevent it. I hope I answered your question, Dr. Alice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was very, very enlightening and so important, because I think when you start to expand the conversation to schools and, with landlords and other like situations, it normalizes it. So people don't feel as scared to come forward with that sensitive information. I was curious because you touched on another thing about those school shooters that it's close to my heart, because every time I hear about a school shooting, especially when it's like some teenage boy shot up a school because some girl rejected him, it makes me so angry. And I'm always thinking, like, if we could teach boys and girls, like both, to like regulate their emotions in a healthier way, that can really prevent these cycles from happening and learn to deal with their difficult emotions. Because I think, intellectually, the abuser gets that, like, yeah, hitting people, killing people is probably bad and wrong. But when they're in a heightened emotional state, they can't think straight necessarily. They don't know how to deal with that. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
No, I agree. Yes, I agree. And for example, Nicholas Cruz, the shooter, the Parkland shooter in Florida, this was in February 2018. His girlfriend broke up with him because she saw that he was an abusive boyfriend. She left him, and I think he went back to the school and shot up professors and students, and he comes from multiple foster homes, I believe, and he demonstrated violence from a very young age. So there's so many warning signs before that by the time the shooter shoots in school, it's almost too late to do anything at that point. It needed to be done when he was a little boy, when
Right.
he was even a toddler, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. That's where you need to do the education, get him help, educate him, and therapy. We can't stress that enough. This is why we make therapy a part of your residency, because that way you don't have an excuse. Oh, I can't afford it. It's too time consuming. I have a lot of shame. I don't want to. What if somebody sees me? No, in an Osso Safe certified property, it's part of your residency. It's part of how an Osso Safe certified property is run. Because I have to say, Dr. Allison Donovan, everybody has problems. Everybody.
Yeah.
And it's okay that we can't handle them, and we can't, especially with COVID, like it really shed a light on how vulnerable we are. So we can't handle this alone. It's okay to get therapy. There's no shame in getting therapy. And now we're seeing to it that this becomes part of your residency. So it's like a non-issue. It's a non-issue. Yep, I have my family therapist assigned to the building. We live in an Osso Safe certified property. We got educated. We have the policy. It's in writing. It's an addendum to existing leases. It's just a part of residency now. And also, I wanted to mention, back to warning signs, pornography is a big driver of violence. Big, huge. So if your partner is into pornography, and I'm not talking about sexual freedom, they are two different things. We are all for sexual freedom at Osso Safe. You want to turn your house, your place of residence, into a jungle, and you want to have mind-blowing orgasms, and that's great. Pornography is 88.2% physical aggression towards women. That is so alarming. So when we give pornographic material to our boys or males in our family, our brothers, our nephews, our sons, our grandsons, we are essentially teaching them to have hostility to girls and women when they get older.
Mm.
And I want to say another portion of this, and it has come to my attention fairly recently, and I'm making it a point to be public about this, to educate people.
Mhm.
There's pornography, there's sex trafficking, there's child rape and child sex trafficking. But there's a portion of pornography called a financial dominatrix. This is where the woman is doing the abusing, the sex abusing. And
Mhm.
this is where a male client typically goes to her
Mhm.
either by video or in person, and he pays for her to sexually abuse him, to say convulsing, revolting, disturbing things to him.
Mhm.
And it's consensual, and this is legal. However,
Mhm.
the financial dominatrix, I mean, that's the glamorous word. I think a more appropriate title is a paid sex abuser.
Mm.
These women are dangerous.
Mhm.
These women are manipulative, dominating, controlling individuals, and they are abusers. They are abusers on and off camera, and they prey on, they date and marry men that are submissive, and these men could have children, and then they get into a relationship and they get into a living arrangement, and it's arousing for her because in her mind, wow, I have such control. I'm controlling him, I'm controlling his child, and they could be apart. Don't think that, and this is why I want to educate on audiences. Don't think that they live in some Playboy mansion. They live among us in society, in our communities. They could be part of your PTA because they pose as upstanding citizens on the outside, but behind closed doors, they do very disturbing, convulsing, revolting things on and off camera. And this is adjacent to sex trafficking, as I mentioned, child rape, prostitution. It's extremely disturbing, and they kind of fly under the radar, Dr. Alice and Donovan, because they're women. Like, nobody suspects that women are abusers,
Yeah.
but there are female abusers out there, and it's still traumatizing by far, whether you're male or female. It's traumatizing, especially as a child. So I'm sorry if I went off on a tangent, but if your partner is looking at a lot of pornography or any pornography, other than erotica, like I said, erotica is different, where there's no violence, there's no sexual violence going on. It's fine. But pornography, for the most part, there's sexual violence, sexual assault going on.
Mhm.
So this is dangerous. This is a big warning sign that you should stay away from this person.
Mhm.
And going back to like the shooters, and we really need to make therapy a part of your life, one's life. It's on the preventative side by far. I hope I answered your question and clarified certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, so sort of on that note that you finished with, you touched a number of topics. I'm gonna hone back in on kind of this piece. You made it sound, it's kind of like a series of events that happen in a person's life that can eventually lead them to some kind of like major violence, like school shooting or something like that. And hypothetically, right, in an imaginary world where everything's perfect, the state would intervene at some point and come in and say, hey, here's the tools you need. Here's all the stuff. You've had one small incidence of violence. Here's everything you need to get everything back together. I'd be curious what you see in terms of some of these like abusive relationships, whether it's with kids or just domestic situations, and how the state plays into that and how they fall short. Because obviously that's not what's happening, right? Like they're not showing up and fixing everything for everyone.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I have to say, and I'm speaking from personal and professional experience, the child protective service agencies, the state, these agencies I have to say, and I've said this in my TEDx talk, they make horrible matters even worse. The laws make horrible matters even worse. These so-called parent coordinators and mediators and expensive lawyers and judges, they make such, they embolden the abuser, the abusive parent, and fail child victims by far. And I'm speaking from personal and professional experience, because abuse is a big spectrum, huge. I mean, a lot falls under abuse. And we categorize it under three main categories: verbal, physical, sexual. Yes, there's mental abuse, there's emotional abuse, but to us, that's really falls under physical, like physical abuse, because your mind, your mentality is part of your physicality, right? So I feel like when people break it down so much, it gets so confusing. There's financial abuse, people taking away your ability to get access to your account. Again, but that hurts your persona, your physical abuse. It's a form of physical abuse. But my point is that with these child protective service agencies and all of these other agencies that say that they're going to protect, that they protect children, from what I could see, unless they see right in front of them that the mother or the father is drugging themselves or sexually assaulting them right in front of them, or they are like, if it's not done right in front of them, everything is fine. They dismiss the case after 3 or 4 months of pulling the kid out of school and badgering them with questions, and then they talk to the parents, and then if the parents are divorced, they go to the partners, and then at the end, Donovan and Dr. Alice, case is closed, everything is fine, and the child is in hell. They find it permissible when there's divorced parents, and if the mother lives far away from the child, and and the parents are divorced, and the mother lives 2-3 hours away from where the child lives, and requires the child to drive 2-3 hours one way without traffic to see the mother, the Child Protective Service Agency says okay to that. There's nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, the child, that's physical abuse. The child is in the back seat, screaming and yelling, feeling nauseous, screaming, why do I have to go see mommy? Why can't mommy come see me? Why do I have to drive? Like my service, it's perfect. Property is also safe certified. These occurrences would not happen. They wouldn't get as far as they do. And actually, I also consult with a small team of lawyers on a regular basis. And one of them is a family law attorney. And she said to me, wow, Sabrina, with your certification, the home sweet home package that you're introducing into the market, the real estate market, you are short circuiting the entire process. Because if you think about it, if you get a property Osso Safe certified, what do you need the lawyers for? Either protective service agencies, judges? You don't need any of that, because the abuser is out. If violence happens, we go in with our therapists on a more concentrated, intense level to get the victims de-victimized, if you will. You don't have to move anywhere. You don't have to uproot your children. Stay right where you are. The abuser is out. The technology detected the violence. The children are less scared, like, oh, okay, I could continue to go to my school. Everybody's on board. We're going to get more educated. What do you need the courts for? What do you need the child protective service agencies for? The abuser's not coming back, because now this is a required standard condition of residency. I hope I answered your question. I have to say the state, the child protective service agencies, The judges, they make matters so much more worse. And to prove it even further, 2-year-old Kira Franchetti, 3-year-old Bella Bond, 6-year-old Zymir Perkins, 7-year-old Nixmary Brown, they are all dead. These children have been murdered at the hands of an abusive parent or a step parent under the watch of all of the professionals that I just mentioned, that we went over in this interview. If they were, and I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth, if they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, all those children and so many others alive and well. So I hope I answered your question. And I know I could seem maybe, I don't know if harsh is the word, but we cannot continue doing what we have been doing. We cannot. And I know because I lived it. And we need avant-garde, progressive, radical solutions. No more BS. Enough.
Yeah. So absolutely, Sabrina. I can really see your passion for this to really make a change in the world and prevent as much violence as possible. So yeah, any landlords out there, check out this Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. Could save lives potentially. And Sabrina, we want to really thank you for being on our show. Was there any final thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
Yes, just that you have the right to be safe in your own home. To all of you kids out there that are being abused, I want you to chant, I want to live where I am Osso Safe, and I am Osso Safe at so-and-so's house. So just think to yourself, who do you feel safe with? If it's not mom or dad, just think to yourself, who do you feel safe with, and make your voice heard. This ties in with Osso Safe, what we're doing as far as kids having a voice in Osso Safe certified properties. We're making this a required standard condition of residency. Safety, trust, patience, respect, understanding, freedom in your own home. And that's how it should be for all of us. To check us out. I don't know if I'll be given the opportunity where people could find me.
Yeah, your links are going to be in the description below, so people can click on those links to find you. Absolutely.
Great. And my website is ossosafe.com. Home Sweet Home for all should be everyone's reality, and we're working very hard to see too that does become a reality for everyone.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for the cause that you're out to create and the work that you do. And thank you for being a guest on our show.
Well, I want to say I want to say, because we're not a charity, we're not a nonprofit. And I feel like that's a big distinction with us, because we are a bona fide business, and we feel that approach is much better. It'll get the problem resolved by far. Versus treating this as a charity nonprofit. That's what is distinctive about Osso Safe. But I thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Alice and Donovan. Really, this was so great.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please take a second to subscribe, as it really helps out a lot. If you're looking for more content, there's all sorts of information over at howtohappy.com. And if you want something a little bit more condensed and concise, I've also written the book Mindscaping, which is essentially a framework for optimizing happiness. So we'll have the link there as well. And that's all I've got. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.